We're live. Good morning. So, fair warning, they're both very energetic today, so they'll probably be running around and I might have to close the door at some point, but we're going to try to get through this. Today, I want to talk a little bit about body shaming. And so the reason I want to talk about this is because it has a lot of effect in a woman's life, primarily. Yes, there are guys that go through it too, but I feel like we're a lot harsher on women's bodies. Let me explain a little bit. So a while back, and I think it's probably still making its rounds, but there was a lot of posts about the dad bod. And if you're not familiar, the dad bod is essentially saying that a guy has a body similar to a dad, being in the sense that they're a little bit overweight, but not like super overweight. Like they've got a pudgy tummy and it's like supposed to be really cute. And it kind of baffled me for a while because I know there's this idea and the stigma that guys should all be very muscular and like very masculine in the way they look, and they shouldn't be body shamed either. But then this came up and it was like kind of celebrating the round body type, which is great. We want to make strides forward to accept all body types. Whatever you look like, you can be attractive as long as you're healthy. And that should be the goal. The only reason we should discuss our sizes should simply be, are you healthy or are you not healthy? Now, the reason we still have a problem is because while we're starting to celebrate all the different kinds of male body types, we're not doing that for women. And to an extent, I don't know if we ever really celebrate any body type for us at all, because, and this is why I go into it, for the longest time I remember people always saying things like, you gotta be really skinny, like that was the thing. And if you met me when I was younger, I was tiny, like I'm still not big, but I also was a lot smaller. Like without even trying, you could see like the definition of my bones because I was just so skinny. And this wasn't because like I wasn't eating or I had an eating disorder. This was just because that was my body type. I was very thin and I had a very high metabolism and I ate tons of food. And I burned it really quickly. Now, during this time you'd think, like, especially with this idea of skinny is the beautiful and that's what you have to be beautiful, I absolutely never felt that way. I've struggled with this my whole life, feeling like other people would find me attractive. And everybody always scoffs and rolls their eyes when I say it. And they're like, oh, you should be obvious. It's like the same thing that I would tell any of my friends if they were telling me that they didn't think they were beautiful, which is scoffing, rolling your eyes, and being like, excuse me, ma'am, you are the most gorgeous creature to ever walk the earth. And so a lot of my friends and family did that for me. However, I have a hard time believing it because I just have a hard time seeing myself as attractive. And some of it comes from having been bullied for a really long time. Some of it comes from not understanding that all bodies look really different and your body is beautiful exactly the way it is. Partly because of all of this advertising against that idea that you have to eat right, you need to go on all these diet plans, you need to exercise so you look a specific way, and so on and so forth. Part of my, I guess, thought process in thinking that I wasn't particularly beautiful at this age was I wasn't very curvy. So I developed like in college time. So while I was in high school, I was still pretty like two parallel lines. Like there was no curves, at least not that I could see. And a lot of people would always tell me like, oh, I bet guys hit on you all the time. No, like that never happened. And if it did, I'm blind, which we've discussed this in previous videos with the H-E-B shopping cart incident, that I am pretty blind. But I didn't date a lot of people. I still don't get hit on a lot. And I don't like, obviously, for obvious reasons, I don't go out now, but I didn't go out like before we met. And so I wasn't reassured in that sense that, oh, well, guys ask me out all the time, so obviously I must be beautiful or I must have something else to offer. And so that kind of kept putting that idea in my head. And to this day, it's still kind of like, I mean, my confidence has gotten a lot better, and I still definitely every now and then will just like step out and be like, I'm the hottest thing in the world. And that's good, because it means my confidence has gone up, and we should all strive to make sure that every woman feels that way. However, there is all of this body shaming that is still going on to this day. There's a lot of the things tend to be a little bit louder about being overweight. And I've mentioned already, as long as you're healthy, it shouldn't matter. Like, I know women who are bigger than me who aren't necessarily unhealthy. Like, they work out, they eat right. That's just their body shape. And I think they're beautiful. Like, they are some of the sassiest, most confident people I've ever met. And I'm sure it doesn't necessarily come easy, because for most people, if you're that confident and amazing, you probably didn't have it easy. But they've had to learn to love their bodies without the approval of everybody else in the media. Now, we've slowly started to change that with, like, plus size modeling and having more clothing availability, not just like frumpy things for them to wear, like things that are fitted, things that are nice, things that they can enjoy and have fun wearing. But we still have a lot of body shaming going on. We still try to perpetrate this idea that women need to be very curvy. They have to have very big breasts or very big butts, and they have to have a tiny waist, or they need to, if they're going to be like this. There's all of these ideas that are constantly being thrown at us, and it doesn't help that a lot of our magazines have tons of Photoshop women. Like, you see it all the time, especially when celebrities call it out, that their photos have been Photoshopped. All of these pictures that they have in these magazines isn't what they naturally look like. They've been changed. They've either been slimmed down, or they've been color corrected, or they've been altered to look. Come up on my Facebook page of this whole, and I'm getting distracted because it's recording and I've lost connection, but we're gonna keep going. My Facebook memory came up, and it was a video themselves to these limits that aren't healthy, that aren't good. And was such a breath of fresh air to see this, because if you looked at some of their photos that they shared in this video, you could see that these women were a lot healthier. And there was a lot of things that were different from what we see. So we all have seen, like, the Victoria's Secret ads, and like, there's a Fenty one that's out there. There's, like, anything that's like lingerie or swimwear or tight fitted clothing. There is not a lump in sight that isn't supposed to be there. There are the curve of the breasts, there is the tiny waist, and then there is the butt, and that's it. Like, there are no lumps, curve, like anything. It's just smooth, like it's a second skin. But the reality is that there are going to be bumps, because you have to wear underwear, and if you're wearing underwear, that's going to give a little bit of an underwear line, and you got to figure out how to cover that. Or you have a bra, and you can see bra lines on your bra sometimes, whether because it's not fitting right or just because it's a bigger bra. I don't know. All of my bras always show, so I don't know what that says about the bras I'm wearing. But the point remains is that it's not smooth. And even someone who's at a lower weight, like when I was in high school and I weighed almost nothing, and by almost nothing I mean I was like maybe 100 pounds when I graduated high school. I was tiny. I can't get over how small I was, because it's just baffling to me, because I don't think I'm big now, but I can't imagine being smaller. Different subject. But even at that weight, whenever I wore clothing, you would still see lines, whether that would be underwear lines, whether that would be like curves, like when you have underwear that fit and they're a little bit tight, I guess, and they make little lumps, or even if they're not tight and they still make little lumps. Like, that's not unusual, or it doesn't mean that you're overweight. It just means that you have skin between your bones and your clothing that get pinched a little bit and they come out. And we have all of the stigma that's not good. Like, if your jeans fit weird, or like they have these lumps on the side, and then they don't fit right. But I've gone to like store after store after store trying on jeans, and when I'm standing up and I slide into them, they can feel really good. And then I sit down and I feel like I get rolls suddenly, like, that are just coming out of my jeans, and I'm just like, and I am not overweight. I'm really not. I'm at a healthy weight for my height. And so seeing this makes me feel like I am, though. Like, I've gained too much weight. Suddenly I don't look good in clothing anymore. And that's just because the pants aren't necessarily designed to fit us correctly. And in the same way, like, my husband wears his pants, and same thing happens. He comes out of his jeans a little bit, but he doesn't think twice about it. At least not that I've seen. I complain way too much when I'm putting on my clothing. And other guys will leave the house looking like that and be absolutely confident. It's just, jeans fit like jeans, and then they move on with their lives. And I think part of that is they haven't had that same shaming that we have our whole lives, and it comes in all sorts of ways. So I've talked about the magazine. Another thing that I've seen that happens a lot is you have family members that'll be like, oh, you're looking a little chubby, or you're looking a little thicker, or, oh, you've gained a lot of weight. And they warn you about things like the freshman 15, and it's not healthy to continue to point it out that way, because it makes us feel worse about ourselves when we do eventually gain weight, and it makes us uncomfortable. So I remember when I went off to college, I was warned about that ominous freshman 15. You're going to gain all of this weight, and you're going to get chunky because you're not going to be as active. You don't have to take PE anymore. Like, you're going to eat junk food. And, like, I was so worried and nervous about that. And I felt really proud almost that I didn't gain, I think, any weight while I was in college. Like, I maintained the same weight, more or less. And then I moved to San Antonio, and I met my husband, and I started to, like, eat more frequently, I guess. I don't know. Maybe just eat what I wanted. Like, I'm a big pasta lover, and I've probably mentioned it before, but I absolutely love pasta. And as we all know, pasta's a carb, and it's not good, and you gain weight, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I ate a lot of pasta because he kept asking me, what's your favorite food? What do you want to eat? And, of course, my answer was always, pasta! And so we would go eat pasta, and then I ended up eating, and I still do, eat way too much pasta. But I mean, I still try to be active. I still try to work out a little bit here and there. I'm just not good at being very consistent with it. I try to continue to maintain things around the house. I don't overeat. It's not like I gorge myself on pasta. I eat, I'm full, and I'm done. But eating things and he's very big on trying to have, like, a very balanced diet. You eat what you crave and eat what you need, and so on. And naturally, eating that much more carb-heavy food, I gained weight. So I went from, I want to say that I was about 110 or 115 when we started dating, and I jumped up to 140. And I remember I hadn't stepped on a scale in such a long time, but when I did, I just sat there and just was like, I've gained too much weight. I'm fat. That's it. And I was just like almost spiraling at the thought of having gained any weight at all. Now, if you've met me since then, or if you've seen any of my photos, I haven't gained that much weight. And if you still, like, part of what I do sometimes is I'll go and I'll kind of, like, feel where my bones are and see if, like, I've gained enough fat to cover my bones, but I'm trying to figure out how to test myself to see if I'm fat or not. And if you're listening to me talk and you've seen me, you're probably shaking your head going, you're absolutely fine. And that's my point. I am fine. I'm healthy. I'm not overweight. I am not unhealthy or, like, lethargic all the time because I've suddenly gained all this weight. My joints don't hurt because I've gained too much weight. Like, I'm fine. But all of this self-consciousness, all of this awareness of my weight, all of this that bothers me is because this is what we're taught. And it's not just women who are heavier, women who are skinnier, women who are... It's all of us. We are all taught that we need to look a specific way, and we need to be working out to get it. We need to be eating right to get it. We need to only eat a salad on the first date. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, excuse me, if somebody else is paying for my food, I won't order the expensive thing on the thing, but I'm not going to just eat a salad. Come on. I eat way too much for that. Even now when I eat less than I did then, like, I still eat way too much to just order a salad. But we've continually been fed these ideas that our bodies aren't enough. And it gets worse because I've mentioned about talking about kids and how I want to eventually just like talk about all this motherhood stuff whenever we get there. But part of that problem too is that women are expected to bounce back from something like childbirth. And I've had friends who have trouble getting up from the couch because they've had a C-section and they can't. They need to rest. And like mothers who have stretch marks that are left over from having grown a baby in their body, or more than one baby in their body, and given birth, and your skin doesn't always snap back. And so we're sold all of these products like creams and lotions to help our body go back to normal. What is normal? Our bodies just created another human being, and yet we're told that we need to snap back, like the last 9 months didn't happen, that our organs weren't just rearranged to carry this child. Are you kidding me? Somehow this idea that we're supposed to have perfect bodies 24/7, and the only reasonable excuse to have that much weight gain is a pregnancy. I'm sorry. Women's breasts are primarily just like fatty tissue, and that was one of the things that when I gained weight, it kind of went to my boobs and my butt, and I was uncomfortable because suddenly none of my clothes fit, and I was cranky for a while because I had to go buy new clothes, and I'm still not banking in money enough to buy new clothes, but I had to. So I was simultaneously told that I suddenly gained the weight in all the right places, but I was still too heavy because I'd gained a lot of weight. And so all of these things that we're continually told, they're not okay. We need to start telling women that your body is amazing exactly the way it is. We gotta stop saying things like, oh, you look really good because you lost weight, or because you gained weight, or you're looking curvier. How about, hey, you're looking healthy, or you look really happy, or that dress or that clothing or whatever you're wearing really suits you. We don't need to be reminded about our weight because we're already way too self-conscious about it because of all of this advertising and media and everything in the world that seems to be screaming at us that our bodies aren't enough. And we need to try really hard to try to change this narrative. Our bodies are enough. Our bodies are some of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a woman. I'm saying that because we have that ability to carry a child for 9 months and give birth. And I've seen some women who still manage to bring it all back together. Their tummies are smooth again and they're doing really good, and it's usually women who work out more, not like me, but they can do that, and that's still amazing. How do you get your body to do that? Or women who go through that and then decide to have another kid after all of this, everybody's heard a horror story about giving birth, and then they decide to have another kid, and then they go through it, and they still, they come out on the other end okay. It's amazing what we're capable of. There are women out there who are bodybuilders and weightlifters who achieve amazing feats. My husband and I were laughing about it the other day. I was like, I don't know why people don't always take women seriously. We're pretty kick-ass. And he's like, yeah, there are women out there who can kick my ass. And it makes me laugh because he's a bigger guy, and you know, I think he's attractive anyway. So there are all of these other women out there who don't fit the normal stereotype. If you're pregnant, you're not going to look like that supermodel on the cover a lot of the time because, hello, you're growing a person in your stomach. Like, that's a thing. And if you're a bodybuilder, you're not going to look like that because your muscle changes the way your body looks. Neither of those two instances are any less attractive or amazing to behold. We need to stop trying to tell everyone there's a one-size-fit-all for women's body because there isn't. We need to stop telling people that they have to look a specific way because they don't. Me and my sisters all share very similar genetics because we have the same parents, and we look so drastically different. Like, I'm about 5'6", my sister's like maybe an inch or two shorter than me, and then there's another sister who's about 4 inches to 5 inches shorter than me, and so on. It's like we're all different heights. That doesn't make one of us more attractive than the other, it just makes us different. So the next time you see a woman, instead of trying to compliment her weight or compliment her size, compliment that she's amazing, that she's intelligent, that she knows something, that she could put an outfit together that looks that good. Something else, because our bodies aren't the only things that matter, and we need to stop perpetrating that we have to look a specific way to be noticed. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks for living.